You gotta be careful with this stuff because it can go everywhere. What's up, guys? It's Nikosi. Do I need to introduce myself again? I. The leader. What's up, guys? Back again. No, I hate that. I'm not that guy. So I shot some test rolls a couple weeks back, and today I'm going to answer one of the more requested questions on the channel. What do you do after you get your film back? How do you color grade, etc., etc.? So in this video, I'm going to share some of the post workflow when it comes to 16mm film and get into some color grading. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional colorist, but I think I can make an image look good, and that's what we're going to be doing here. So I shot 2 rolls of roughly about 300 feet. So this is sent to me in a 35mm can as opposed to just a regular 16mm 400 foot can. So your film's going to come back like this after it's been processed. Here we go. I shot 2 rolls, one of color and one black and white. This white strip with my information on it is called the leader, and that's just used to make it easier to load the film onto a projector, or for telecity, which is just, converting the film to digital. In those old black and white movies, this is what you'd see the countdown of the film on. So if you hold your film up to the light, you can clearly see, the negative of what you shot. Processing will leave you with a negative image on your film, and then during the scan, that negative will be converted into a positive. And here's the black and white. Cool. So you get your film processed, and then once your film is scanned, it needs somewhere to go. Typically a hard drive or a solid state drive. I use this 2 terabyte Sabrent SSD, and I like it because it's faster than a hard drive, which just saves a little bit more time in uploading and downloading. Obviously, you can just use a cheaper hard drive if you want, but I think if you can just save a little bit more time, that works for me. I'll link this in the description if you want to know more about that. So first thing, like with working with digital footage, you'll probably want to make a copy of it onto a hard drive and save that for storage in case anything happens to the original drive. That's what I'd recommend doing, so you don't have a hard drive crash and lose footage, which recently just happened to me on a project and took forever to restore and get figured out. So definitely back up your files. I typically edit in Final Cut Pro, but for coloring, I'm starting to use DaVinci more. I'm by no means a professional colorist though. The interesting thing with film that kind of separates it from digital is that when you shoot digitally, your footage comes through split into clips automatically for you, but with film, since everything's just on the one reel, it comes across as just one file, so you'd manually have to split up your clips. There's usually only a few steps to get it looking correct, and I think a lot of that could be due just to the 2 color temperatures you have when shooting film, either daylight or tungsten, and once you balance to one of those 2 temperatures, the colors just kind of fall into place. This film was scanned by Nicholas Coyle at Film and Video Transfer LLC. This is a 4K ProRes 422 file. With this footage, we didn't shoot any audio, so there's nothing to sync up or sync to, but if we were shooting audio, we just sync it up with the slate and just match the image to the audio that way. Okay, so we're gonna open up DaVinci Resolve here, and we have some clips here in our timeline. I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the color window here, and I have my nodes open already. You can have your clips open too if you want, just see what you're working on, but my computer is a little bit smaller, so I like to have as much screen space here. So this footage was shot on some expired Kodak 250D. As we can see, this image has an overall magenta hue to it. We're not gonna worry about that too much because it'll clean right up. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and add in a couple nodes. So we have 3 total. Number 1 is going to be for our primaries, number 2 is going to be for our secondaries, and number 3 is going to be for sharpening. So we're going to go ahead and start number 1. We're just adjusting our lift just so we get our contrast where we like it. As there's not a whole lot of detail in the shadows here, so you can see as we drop this lift down, it's going to kind of crush to black. And let's go ahead and increase our gain. This shot was probably a little underexposed, so we can go ahead and push that up quite a bit, and then we'll balance with our gamma to get that skin back to a good tone. Keep in mind, we're doing all these adjustments for the skin, and everything else we'll fix in our secondaries. This magenta-ish blue color backdrop is actually closer to like a cyan blue, so you can see how far this is shifted into the magenta just by looking at that. So we'll go ahead and bring out some of our magenta tint now, just using the tint slider, maybe about there, and then we'll go ahead and warm this up. And again, we're looking at the skin here. Let's go ahead and add some saturation just so we can see kind of what we're looking at. About 60. So we can see there's a lot of red in these shadows, which I actually like the red, but this just feels like a little overdone. And you can see, you know, overall we have red here, a little bit of magenta. So I'll probably pull a little bit more out in the tint just to get us looking a little bit more balanced. And there's kind of a more natural looking image here. We can go ahead and check our vector scope. I'm going to go to a window here, select the circle just to highlight this face. We're not doing any power windows or anything like that. It's just to highlight this portion of the face and see kind of where we're lining up here. So I'll just adjust this offset so you can see where we're at on our skin. So you can see that's quite a bit off there. So what I'll do to combat that is adjust our tint so that we're sitting right kind of on that line. It looks a little yellow to me, but let's see if we can adjust this correctly. Here we go. Get rid of that. That's saying that's about accurate there. I don't know how much I love how that looks. I might go ahead and take out a little bit of the yellow. I'm just going to use some of the printer light keys here. I have mine set up just kind of how I like it on my MacBook. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of that yellow. It's going to be 5 here. Let's do a little more. So they were really getting into the reds. It's moving on the line, but I don't like how that looks. So we're going to go about, let's go about there. And then we'll pop on over to our secondaries here. And this is where things are going to start to get interesting. As you can see in the white of the eyes, it's very yellow. Almost looks like jaundice, which both of my babies had. We'll go ahead and go here to the 6th node, saturation versus saturation, and just pull down here so we can kind of clean up some of the shadows, some of the whites. If you look right here, you'll be able to see this get cleaned up really quickly because there's kind of a greenish yellow tint to it, just kind of grungy looking, but pulling it down takes that right out. It adjusts overall the intensity of the skin, as you can see here. But we'll bring some of that back here. So let's just bring this down probably about there. And then we'll add in another section somewhere. You're just gonna move this just to bring in some life back to it. You can see that yellow kind of clean up from this point to this point. So we'll probably go somewhere about in there. And it's already looking much better, but we still have some more adjustments to make. So from there, we're gonna go to our hue versus saturation. And this is where we're gonna make some adjustments to our background and some minor tweaks to the skin. I will go ahead and select this background, which is falling in this magenta. I'm gonna wanna pull that up a bit. Most of our magenta is falling here, so I'm gonna come over a little bit to just kind of hit this big curve here. And then to see the real difference that's gonna make, let's go to hue versus hue. Let's just select the, no, it's more in the blues. We'll kind of adjust this as we need to. But if I pull this up, pull this up, you'll see how that color in the background is going to shift. So this is probably most accurate about right about there. And then we can select our skin, should put us right on the yellow, and let's bring in some pink. I mean, you can already see the big difference that's making from there, very yellow, to that, which looks a lot more natural. So we'll come about there, looks good. So from here, I'll probably come back and make a few more adjustments here because I don't like exactly how punchy that's looking. Again, I'm in my primaries. I'm gonna come up on the lift just a little bit, and I'm gonna come up on my gain a little bit more. And here's where we can add with the contrast very quickly. We can see it kind of washes it out, makes it look a little bit more, I would say vintage, but let's bring it in to about there. And then with our pivot, this is going to adjust the midtones on our waveform. So if I want to pull them up, you can see the difference that's making there. If I want to bring them down, you can see the difference between that. So this is kind of to taste. I personally like to bring mine down a little bit. I feel like it kind of enriches the highlights. Another way you can do this, which is kind of just what I figured out from messing around, come to the log and go to the highlights. And if you move that around, you can see what that's kind of doing to the highlights. So if I bring it up, it's kind of like saturating it a little bit and also brightening it. And then if I come down, it just is taking some of that away. So I'll probably add just a little bit here, not too much. It still has a little too much yellow for me. So I'm gonna come back into here to my hue versus hue and just shift this up a little bit more. And then I'll come to these bright pinks here, and I'm gonna bring that closer to red. About there, looks good. And then I'm gonna go to the hue versus saturation. Same thing, click this and just bring it down just a tad. So there's before and after of that. Just a little bit. It's not too significant, but for me, it's personally just a little too punchy. All right, and that's looking pretty good to me so far. Maybe a little bit pink in the shadows that we can take out. And I'll just do that by going to our hue versus hue. And I'm guessing that's gonna be, yeah, about right here. Just a tiny bit, and then our hue versus saturation. Let's bring that down. One of the last things I'll try to do is come here to our sharpening, which is the second one here, and then just add a little bit. You don't need too much. You'll see the grain here pop pretty quickly. That's at 46, back to 50. So somewhere, you know, between 45 and 50 usually works. You can also come to the scaling and bring that down a little bit. So bringing it up is going to magnify everything, and bringing it down is going to kind of smooth it out. So I like to go probably about like 10 to 15 here as opposed to the 25, and we'll come up to 47 and just kind of brings out some of the finer details. Again, this was on expired film, so it's a little bit grainier than if it was fresh stock, but it still looks pretty darn good. So here's another clip. Let's go ahead and scrub to a frame that we like. Pretty stationary, so we'll go ahead and add our nodes quickly. Let's hop on into our primary wheels, pull our lift down so we get our shadows where we want them. Looks good. Bring up our gain. I'm gonna go pretty bright here, and then our gamma. I'm really liking that. Maybe a little bit more here, not too much. And then let's pull some magenta out here. You can see in those, in the parade, how that's shifting the color pretty significantly. We could use more blue in the shot, but I'm going to the skin, so I want to bring this up actually, probably to right about there. Yeah, and then let's boost our saturation just to see kind of what we're working with. Let's go maybe 56. And this, I mean, right here, this is looking pretty good. Some quick things right off the bat. We can see the whites of the eyes look a little yellow, and we will be able to address that here in our secondaries. Pop in here, saturation versus saturation on the 6th dot and pull this down. I mean, already you can see that's making a huge difference in the overall image. Bring this up, pull it out, so it allows the whites of the eyes to be whiter. Maybe we can come into this hue versus saturation, bring just a little bit of saturation here. Nothing crazy, just to balance out the face a little bit more. A little touch there. This is looking rather pink, so what I would want to do is come into our hue versus hue, select that very pink magenta, and just bring it into the normal range. There's naturally kind of a rosy cheek going on here, so we don't want to overdo this, just a little bit. All right. What I might do is hop back over here and just add a little punch within the contrast. And then our pivot, let's go ahead and just raise that a little bit. If this is kind of more like dramatic, I might pull it closer to 1, but since I want kind of a lighter fashion type look, I'm gonna stick closer to 0. That looks good. Maybe a little bit more punch. Then we're gonna go ahead and go to our sharpening here. We'll see if we can just maybe add just a little bit, because I love the film grain and I want to accentuate that as much as possible without it being distracting, obviously. And you can see just how sharp that is on the 4K scan. It looks, I mean, it looks great. If I bring this up, you know, you start looking very, very digital with all the kind of noise looking artifacts. We'll pull this down again, probably about there, 16. And that to me looks really, really good. We could adjust for this background here if we really want to, which we would just do in our hue versus saturation. Let's try to bring that up a little bit maybe. And then hue versus hue. Again, this is more of a cyan color, closer to that. And let's check it out. And just for fun, I threw in a black and white clip that I shot on the same day. This is purely going to be contrast and our sharpening. So I'll go ahead and add another node here. Let's pull to our kind of hero frame somewhere around there. That might work. I'm gonna go to my wheels. Gonna bring the lift down to what I feel looks right. I mean, I like really punchy black and white, so I might crush this kind of way down. And then our gain, can bring that up. Again, I like really contrasty, punchy black and white, so there's like a little bit of a texture on her face from the blinds, and if we come up too high, you lose that. So we don't want to come up too high. We want to kind of keep that down low and maybe just punch up on our gain a little bit. And let's come to about 6. Okay, that's looking good. And then here we'll go ahead to our sharpening, and this might be best to check out this final frame where everything's actually sharp. Maybe, yeah, right around there, 46, and then let's bring that down a little bit because there's obviously too much. So we'll just come down here. Let's park that there at 15 again, and there's our shot. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I look forward to your comments, questions, and feel free to point out anything that you would do differently or ways that I could improve some of the grading of these clips. And as always, we'll see you next time.